Hey guys, it's Tash. Today I will be showing you how I made Harley Quinn's clubbing dress from the movie Suicide Squad. After my last Harley Quinn video last year, it had a really good response and heaps of people were asking to see more, so that's what I will be doing today. I'm super excited. Laura is really sweet, and this dress is something that I've wanted to make for ages, so I'm so excited. It's going to be great, and I will be vlogging and kind of taking you on the process through this. I hope you're ready. Let's get started. To begin with, I made a prototype that fit my own measurements in rose gold, just to get an idea of how the fabric moved and how it was to work with. Next, I took my mannequin and adjusted it to Laura's measurements. Laura is, if I forgot to mention this already, she's the model who will be wearing this dress in the final shots that you've seen. She has an Instagram and a YouTube, which will all be linked below. So this is the current situation. Look at this mess. Oh my goodness. So basically the deal is Comic-Con is tomorrow. My cousin Ingrid asked me to help her make her costume, which is going to be Alice Madness. Her boyfriend is going to be Spider-Man, which I've been working on as well. I'm also in the process of making Sailor Moon's costume, which is going to be my next video. So there's a pair of boots here, and it's just been chaos. Last night we were up really late working in here. We had kind of like a little sweatshop going on. I would like cut and draft the pieces and then pass them to my aunt. She would sew them, and then it was just like madness. There's fabric everywhere. Comic-Con is a stressful time for us all. Yeah, so let's begin with the fabric. So the first step is to cut out 2 rectangles, and you need to take the measurement of the widest part of your body, which is probably going to be around your butt. So I got the measurement from Laura, and I added 5 centimeters to it just to allow for a little bit of like wiggle room so that she can actually get it on and take it off. And so you want to take that measurement and halve it, which in my case turned out to be 55 centimeters. Then you want to cut 2 pieces that are 55 centimeters wide. One of these pieces will need to be long enough to fit from above the boob to however long you want it to be, and the other piece will need to be about half that. I ordered more of the fabric than I needed so that I would have a little bit of room to make it longer than I needed, and then when I actually see Laura, we can test it out and make sure it works. So this fabric is basically, it's called metal mesh. I'll leave some links down below to it. Lots of little flat metal discs. Anyway, it's super easy to cut into with just a pair of regular scissors. So this is how the dress looks so far. As you can see, it's just a rectangle, but when you grab the ends and push them closer together, it creates this lovely drape down the middle. So it's in 2 pieces. There is, of course, the front piece and then the back piece. Hello. So quick update. This is how the dress is looking so far. This is just a little test so that I could send a photo to Laura. Look at those rhinestones shine. I got a whole lot of this rhinestone trim in the mail. So I did a fitting with Laura last week, and I got her to try on the pieces. We made sure that it fit okay, and she chose the length that she wanted for the dress. Also, she let me know that the straps are actually 2 strips of rhinestones. Originally I thought it was this metal mesh fabric stuff, but it actually is the rhinestones going across the shoulders to the ring at the back. Just in case you were interested in my process, this is kind of the notes of this costume and everything it entails. These are just the jewellery pieces that she has. From what I'm aware, there's a group of 3 necklaces. There's this chunky gold armband. She has 3 men's watches, and this cool ear cuff that has some gold safety pins, plus a bunch of rings. That is basically the dress in a nutshell. For the next part, you're going to need a little bit of maths. The dress should be approximately 5 diamonds wide and 5 diamonds tall. The diamonds should be close in proportion to 15 by 10 centimeters, but this is kind of flexible. The best way to do this to make sure that all the diamonds fit evenly is to divide the measurements of your fabric pieces by 5 to figure out the exact size of your diamonds. You can stop this and go back and view my working out if that makes it easier for you, but basically my diamonds ended up being 14 by 11 centimeters. I then measured that out onto some contact paper. Basically anything that's like wallpaper, or vinyl, anything with an adhesive backing will do. I just used some paper that's used for covering books. I then cut out all the diamonds. It's really important that these are exactly the same size so that everything lines up properly. The next step is to pin down the fabric to a piece of cardboard so that it's stretched evenly both ways. Make sure you use some pins that you don't mind getting some spray paint on. This is important because you don't want the fabric to sit weirdly and then it gets spray painted and then you see that it actually drapes very differently. Then I just peeled off the backing and applied all of the diamonds in the pattern that they are in on the dress. If you want, I'll link my reference photos in the description box so you can see what references I was looking at. Basically, there is a row of half black diamonds on the top and the bottom of the dress. Next, I spray painted it with a layer of black spray paint. This spray paint is actually a primer and a spray paint in one, which is good because we don't want too many layers on this dress. I sprayed lightly from one side and then lightly from the other angle to get all edges of the metal discs. And it's always better with spray paint to work in 2 light layers than in 1 heavy layer. If you do too much spray paint, then the fabric won't move as nicely. Woo! Look how pretty! There's a couple things I need to fix up. Just this spot here where the diamonds didn't go all the way up, so I'll hand paint that in. Oh, I'm out of focus. Basically, the reason that some diamonds are a tiny bit out of place is because the contact paper I was using was completely clear and it was really hard to see where I was putting them. But, better idea, use some contact paper that's actually coloured, or if you have only clear contact paper, maybe spray paint it. I think I'm going to spray paint mine for when I do the other piece of gold, just so that you can clearly see where you're placing the diamonds. But otherwise, I am really happy with how this turned out. You'll find at first it's a bit stiff, but then you loosen it and the fabric goes back to normal. And it still has that lovely drape. So next I'm just lining up the back piece with the front piece. And what you want to do is match the edges together so that you can figure out where the triangles need to continue on. And when you attach, there's going to be 1 centimeter approximately that will be underneath, like so. So make sure to account for that 1 centimeter on both sides. Probably the best way to do it is to take a black permanent marker and just sort of roughly pencil in some markings to show where the black diamonds will be, because then when it's spray painted you won't see the black Sharpie, of course. So as you can see, this is me doing that, and I used a little paper diamond that I had left over from before to kind of get the right shape. Next, you can see I took my own advice and I spray painted the clear contact paper with some red spray paint just on the top of it so that I could actually see what I was working with. Some of the diamonds are a bit weirdly shaped because I did my measuring a little bit wrong and I wanted them to fit and line up properly. So here you can see it is complete and ready for a coat of spray paint. Next up is the wig dyeing. I've never dyed a wig before, but I'm going to be using an alcohol dyeing process. So I just took a pink and a blue Sharpie. With a pair of pliers, I was able to wrestle the top off the Sharpie. And then I pulled out this little highlighter tube that's on the inside. I squeezed that into a spray bottle as best as I could. If you can pull out the fluffy bits on the inside, they contain heaps of the pigment, so that's probably the best way to get it all out. And make sure you wear gloves because this stuff goes everywhere. Then I added about 1/3 cup of rubbing alcohol. I got this at my local Woolworths supermarket. You can make it as pigmented as you want. If you want it to be more pigmented, use less rubbing alcohol. Mix it up and then spray it onto your wig. I bought this white lace front wig on eBay and I'll have it linked in the description box below. I sprayed the right side with the blue Sharpie and then mixed up the same mixture but with the pink Sharpie and sprayed the left side. It's super easy because the alcohol will just evaporate, leaving the colour on the hair. And because it's in a spray bottle, it gets this really nice, even and natural looking fade. Just be careful not to mix the blue and the pink dye. If you would like to buy this particular wig that I made in the video, I will have it linked in the description box below. I'm just selling it on my Etsy because I don't really have a use for it now, so I'd rather it goes to one of you guys. Next, we're going to be making the rhinestone straps. You'll be using this nude elastic, and I got this from my local fabric store. So ideally you want a little bit of elastic here so that you can sew that to the dress. And you want the elastic to be just a little bit thinner than the width of both of the rhinestones together. So from the top, it looks like it's just rhinestones. And if there are any small gaps, I've chosen a flesh tone color, so it'll just make it a little bit more invisible. Also, it doesn't have to be elastic. I just chose elastic because there's no raw edges to mess around with. You could also use ribbon or fabric, but yeah, there's not going to be any stretching of it or anything, but I just thought elastic was an easy option. So here you can see the process. I'm just using a little bit of super glue and lining up the rhinestones. After I did this process, I then quickly draped it over the shoulder of my mannequin so that it would dry in that kind of curved shape, because once it does dry, it becomes quite firm. Remember, with the super glue, a little goes a long way, and be careful not to get it on your fingers. You can use some gloves if that makes it a little bit easier. Next, I took a needle and some clear thread that I found at my local fabric store. I sewed the end over into a loop like this. Then I opened up a gold jump ring with a pair of pliers and looped that through the elastic loop. Next, you can see how I'm matching up the diamonds, and there's about 1 centimeter of overlay. Again, taking that clear thread and my hand needle, I'm just going to hand sew this. To make sure it drapes exactly how you'd like it to, I found it was easiest to hang it up. So I pinned it to my mannequin, but you could also put it on a clothes hanger or something like that. This is just really important because if you're sewing on a flat surface, it may end up getting kind of warped. That's just the nature of this weird fabric. I also decided to put in an invisible zipper. If you've made this the width of the widest part of your body, you don't technically need a zipper, but I just put it in to make it a little bit easier for Laura to get in and out of. Next, I trimmed the little tassel-y, frilly bits on the side. Basically, I trimmed 2 rows of discs wide and then cut out 1 row of discs, and then left 2 and then cut out 1. As you can see, I'm cutting through the lowest row of black half diamonds as well as the top, all the way to the top of the gold diamonds. It's probably easier for you to view than for me to explain. Don't underestimate how long this takes. This actually took so long. Next up, I got this gold ring and I attached a jump ring and then a lobster clasp and then another jump ring. Basically, the bottom straps are attached to the ring and the top straps unclip with a lobster clasp. Next, I took this small chain and cut out some lengths that would drape down to the bottom of the dress. And I attached these with some jump rings as well. These provide no support to the dress at all so that they can drape nicely, whereas the other straps support the dress. Then you can attach it to the base of the dress with some jump rings as well. And this is the final look. Make sure to check out Laura on Instagram and on YouTube. She is an absolute babe. She was so wonderful to work with, and she's just a lovely person and an amazing cosplayer. She makes YouTube videos and she also has an Instagram, and she sells tattoos for Harley Quinn and the Joker. So if you'd like to get the identical tattoos that are used in the Suicide Squad movie, she has them on her online store, which I will link below. She might also be making a video very soon about how to apply these tattoos, so if that gets posted, I will put that link in the description box as well. I know, lots of links in the description box. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you guys lots, and I'll see you next time. Amazing.
Oh, is it a video or a photo?
Oh, video.
Okay, I was like, I'm ready.
Amazing. Love it, love it.
It's too good.
Oh, I love Kmart. And I have the boots here that I'm working on for Sailor Moon. So there's 4 costumes going at once here. Hey, darling. Oi. I love it. Lovely. Lovely.
Oh, stop.
That is all for now. Ciao.